Start.
Hare Krishna. Today we are going to discuss about life of Ajamil, not in detail but in brief. So let us begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayatmudirayet नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोकैर्भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनं शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवम्। जन्माद्यस्य तन्वयादितरतश्चार्तेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदयादिकवये मूयन्ति यत्सूरया तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मा प्रोदितकैतवत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापोत्रयन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परेश्वरा सद्यो हृदयवरुध्यत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिः तत्क्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुभमुखादमृतद्रव्यसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरवो रसिका भुवि भावुका। So we are going to discuss about history of Ajamil, who was considered a greatly sinful man, but was liberated when the four order carriers of Vishnu came to rescue him from the hands of the order carriers of Yamraj. Sinful activities are painful both in this life and in the next. We should know for certain that the cause of all painful life is sinful action. On the path of fruity work, one certainly commits sinful activities, and therefore, according to the considerations of the Karma Kanda, different types of atonement are recommended. Such methods of atonement, however, do not free from the ignorance, which is the root of the sinful life. Considerably, one is prone to commit sinful activities even after atonement, which is therefore very inadequate for purification. Now, let me help you understand what actually happened. When Shukdev Goswami described about the hellish planets in the 5th canto, and when Maharaj Parikshit heard this, he felt that how can we save the people in general from entering into the hellish conditions of life. So at that time, Shukdev Goswami decided to test Maharaj Parikshit's intelligence. So he first presented Karma Kand, then he spoke about Jnana Kand, and then gradually he came to Bhakti Yoga. So first initially Shukdev Goswami he presented the Karma Kanda section, and after Maharaj Parikshit rejected that, Shukdev Goswami, the spiritual master of Maharaj Parikshit, spoke about the path of speculative knowledge. Now, on this path of speculative knowledge, one becomes free from the sinful life by understanding things as they are. Therefore, the acquirement of the speculative knowledge is also considered a method of atonement. Now, while performing fruitive activities, one can become free from the actions of sinful life through austerity, through penance, celibacy, control of hand and senses, and also by maintaining truthfulness and the practice of mysticism. Now, by awakening knowledge, one may also neutralize sinful reactions. But neither of these two methods, like Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda, neither of these two methods can free one from the tendency to commit sinful activity. So, when Maharaj Parikshit, he even rejected the speculative knowledge. Then, being pleased with him, Shukadeva Goswami presented Bhakti Yoga. By Bhakti Yoga, one can completely avoid the tendency for sinful life. Other methods are not very feasible. Therefore, the Vedic literature concludes that devotional service is more important than the methods of Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. If you see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also rejects Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. Only the path of devotional service is very auspicious for everyone. Fruitive activities and speculative knowledge cannot independently liberate anyone. But devotional service, independent of karma and jnana, is so potent that one who has fixed his mind unto the lotus feet of Krishna is guaranteed to not meet the Yamadutas, who are the order carriers of Yamaraj, even in the dreams. Now, when this conversation was going on, Maharaj Parikshit inquired that is there any history to prove the strength of devotional service? So Shukadeva Goswami, to prove the strength of devotional service, he describes the history of Ajamil. Now, Ajamil was a resident of Kanyakubja. This is near Kanpur, the modern Kannauj. Ajamil was trained by his parents to become a perfect Brahmana by studying the Vedas and by following the regulative principles. But because of his past, this youthful Brahmana was somehow attracted by a prostitute. And because of her association, he became most fallen and abandoned all the regulative principles. Ajamil even begot in the womb of this prostitute so many children. And the last was Narayana. Somehow by the association, but somehow by the grace of the sadhus, he was able to keep the name of the last son as Narayana. And because of which Ajamil was constantly chanting the name of Narayana, because usually the youngest son in the family is very dear to everybody. So Ajamil was constantly calling out the names of his son Narayana, but he was actually chanting the holy name of the Lord Narayana. At the time of Ajamil's death, when the order carriers of Yamaraj came to take him, he was 88 years old. At that time, he loudly called out for the name of Narayana, his son, in fear, because he was attached to his youngest son. Thus, what happened? Ante Narayana Smriti. At the time of death, Ajamil remembered Narayana and the original Lord Vishnu. So, although he did not chant the holy name of Narayana completely, it acted nevertheless. As soon as he chanted the holy name of Narayana, the order carriers of Lord Vishnu immediately appeared there on the scene. Now, a discussion started between Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas. And the result of this discussion, that simply by hearing that discussion, actually Ajamil was liberated. Because hearing from a great personalities like the Vishnudutas certainly completely removed his ignorance, completely removed the darkness from his life and liberated him. He could then understand the bad effects of fruitive activities, and Ajamil was also able to understand how exalted is the process of devotion. The messengers of Vaikuntha, actually they asked Yamaduta, what is dharma? So the situation was that Yamadutas were doing their duty. they came to take Ajamil because they used to consider Ajamil as sinful, and they were doing that until they came. But the Vishnuduttas, they had the understanding, which they understood that Ajamil was not a Duratma, he was a Mahatma. Why? Because he was able to remember the Lord's name at the time of his death. So Vishnuduttas, they inquired from Yamadutas what is Dharma. And very nicely they explained what is Dharma. But Yamadutas were not aware of the transcendental religious principle which is called as Bhagavad Dharma. Yamadutas, they knew Dharma, what is Dharma, but they were not aware of the Bhagavad Dharma principle. Ajamil was liberated. Ajamil might be sinful in the eyes of Yamadutas, but because Ajamil was chanting the holy name of the Lord Narayan, not just once, so many times, he was calling out the name of Lord Narayana, and on the principles of the transcendental religious principles, Bhagavad Dharma principle, Ajamil was not to be carried to the place of image. He was supposed to be elevated to the planets of Lord of Vaikuntha. So the messengers from the Vaikuntha explained to the Yamadutas the glories of chanting the holy name of the Lord. The Vishnudutta said, now impious acts are being performed even in the assembly of devotees. Now they were very surprised that these Yamadutas were not aware of this Bhagavad Dharma principle. They were saying that for a person who is not punishable is going to be punished in the assembly of Yamaraj. The Yamaraj is a Mahajan, and they are going to punish someone who is chanting the name of the Lord. So Vishnuduttas were very disturbed, and they said that the mass of the people are helpless and must depend upon the government for their safety and security. But if the government takes advantage of this to harm the citizens, where will they go? So we see perfectly that Ajamil should not be punished. Although you are attempting to take him to Yamaraj for punishment, but Ajamil is not to be punished. It was due to Ajamil's glorifying the holy name of the Supreme Lord that he was not punishable. The Vishnudutta explains this, that simply by once chanting the holy name of Narayana, the Ramana has become free from the reactions of the sinful life. Indeed, he has been freed not only from the sins of this life, but from the sins of many, many thousands of other lives. He has already undergone true atonement for all his sinful actions he has committed. Now, previously, when engaged in sinful activities to maintain his family, Ajamil chanted the name of Narayana without offense. Now, to chant the holy name of the Lord just to counteract one's sinful activities or to commit sinful activities on the strength of the chanting of the holy name is offensive. Namno balat yasthi papa buddhi. But although Ajamil engaged in sinful activities, he never chanted the holy name of Lord Narayana. He never chanted the holy name to counteract them. He simply chanted the name of Narayana to call his son. Therefore, his chanting was effective. Because of chanting of the holy name of Narayana in this way, he had already vanquished the accumulated sinful reactions of many, many lives. In the beginning, he was pure. But although he later committed many sinful acts, he was offenseless because he did not chant the holy name of Narayana to counteract them. One who always chants the holy name of the Lord without offenses is always pure. And Ajamil was already sinless, and because he chanted the name of Narayana, he remained sinless. It did not matter that he was calling his son, because the name itself, Narayana, was very effective. Now, if one atones according to the direction of the Shastras, one does not actually become free from sinful reactions. But if one chants the holy name of the Lord, even a glimpse of such chanting can immediately free one from all kinds of sins. Now, chanting the glories of the Lord's holy name awakens all good fortune. Therefore, there is no doubt that Ajamil, being completely free from all the sinful reactions, should not be punished by Yamraj. This was the verdict of which was given by Vishnudutta. And as we are saying this, Vishnudutta actually released Ajamil from the ropes of the Yamadutas. So usually what happens that when the Yamadutas they come, they have a rope with them. And what do they do with that rope? They have to drag that soul from out from the body, because that it is very attached to that body. So it is very difficult to just take out so easily. So they have this Yamapash by which they drag the soul out of the body. So in this Ajamil situation, when the Yamadutas came, they have already had put their Yamapasha, and they were actually dragging his soul out of the body. At that time, all these things happened. The Vishnudutas came, and the conversation was going on. So Vishnudutas released Ajamil from the ropes of Yamadutas, and they left for their own abode. The Brahmana Ajamil, however, he offered his respectful obeisances to the Vishnudutas. Now, Ajamil, after this whole conversation ended between the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas, Ajamil was enlightened with the transcendental knowledge. And he was hearing from whom? He was hearing from the Vishnudutas himself, the Lord's associates. So he, realizing that what has actually happened, that he could understand the Bhagavad Dharma principle, he was able to understand the glories of devotional service, he was able to understand the glories of the chanting of the holy name. And that's why he offered his respectful obeisances to Vishnudutas. He could understand how fortunate he was to have chanted the holy name of the Narayana at the time of his end of his life. Indeed, he could realize the full significance of his good fortune. And having thoroughly understood the discussion between the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas, he became a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He lamented very much for his very sinful life. He lamented very much for his sinful life. And he started condemning himself again and again. So when you commit a sinful activity, but you're actually guilty of committing that sinful activity, and you are begging forgiveness for it, then the Lord will definitely forgive. Now, because of this Ajamil's association with Vishnudutas, his original consciousness arose, and he gave up everything and went to Haridwar, where he engaged in the devotional service without deviation. Always, a sadhaka, a person, a devotee, should always aspire to remain in the association of devotees. You should always aspire. This is what Ajamil did. Ajamil, after hearing about the glories of devotional service, Ajamil did not go in Ekantavas. He went to Haridwar and he engaged in devotional service in the association of the devotees. Thus, the Vishnudutas when the appropriate time came for Ajamil, Ajamil was there for 13 long years. He was associated with devotees, and after 13 years or over, the time was there for Ajamil to go to the abode of the Lord. So the Vishnudutas went there. The same Vishnudutas who came to protect Ajamil at the time of his death, that same Vishnudutas came now with a plane, gold, and then they made Ajamil sit on that plane, and they went to Vaikuntha Loka. Now, Ajamil chanted the name of Narayana without offenses. Now to chant the holy name of the Lord just to counteract one's sinful activities or to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name is offensive. But Ajamil's situation was completely different. Yeah? So Ajamil was delivered on the strength of the Namabhara. So one who always chants the holy name of the Lord without offenses is always pure. We should not forget this. So while chanting, many times the devotees they ask that how can we get rid of of the offensive chanting? So there are two ways. This is the scriptures recommend. Sadhus recommend. First way is that we should certainly go and beg forgiveness from that particular devotee unto whom we have committed offenses. And at the same time, the other procedure is to chant Akhandana. Unlimited amount of chanting has to be done. I mean, gradually, one will be freed from this tendency of chanting offensively. And best is to sit in the association of devotees, and especially a sadhu, a pure devotee, and under his guidance, practice Krishna consciousness, chant the holy name. So Ajamil got delivered, but Yamadutas were full of doubt. So Yamadutas approached Yamraj, and usually what used to happen that whenever Yamaduta used to go to Yamraj's place, to Yamraj's office, they used to first offer their dandavats, offer their greetings, and then they used to update. But today what happened? All these three Yamadutas who went to take Ajamil, they were afraid. They were afraid of death. They went to take out Ajamil, but when they returned, they were actually afraid of their own. They were insecure that they might be killed. So they asked from their master Yamraj that we want to know what is the truth. We were thinking that you are the decision makers of all the people in the world who are sinful and who are not sinful. We thought that you are that person. But we have come to understanding now there is somebody who is superior than you. We have met those people who are superior than you. So this is a very difficult situation. We cannot work with you. We want to give our resignation. We can't work with you like this. We thought that we are working with the super boss. But it's not like that. There is something who are more superior than you. So, Yamarajji, who knows the Bhagavad Dharma, the religious principle of devotional service, he started explaining to them the principles of Bhagavad Dharma. He first explained to them their good fortune that they have seen, they have received darshan of Vishnu Chaitanya. So he was explaining their good fortune. And Yamraj explained that although Ajamil was calling for his son, he actually chanted the holy name of Lord Narayana. And simply by a glimpse of the chanting of the holy name, he immediately achieved the association of pure devotees. So the holy name will attract pure devotees. If you're chanting purely, simply by the glimpse of this chanting, it will attract sadhus, will get sadhu sangha. And what happens when you get sadhu sangha? The sadhus will save us from the cycle of birth and death. And Yamaraji was explaining that because of the glimpse of the chanting of the holy name, he got the association of Vishnu Dutas, and they saved Ajamil from your attempts to arrest him. So this is quite all right. It is a fact that even a chronically sinful person who chants the holy name of the Lord although not completely without offenses, does not take another material. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, Ajamil had met 4 Vishnudutas. They were very beautiful and had quickly come to rescue him. Yamraj now described them. Yamraj has described them. The Vishnudutas are all pure devotees of the Lord. They are the eternal associates of the Lord. Whose associates? That supreme person who is the creator, maintainer, and annihilation of this cosmic manifestation. And Yamraji is actually expressing his humility. He's saying that Indra, Varuna, Shiva, Brahma, the 7 rishis, and myself, we can understand the transcendental Supreme Lord. It's very difficult to understand. Who is self-sufficient and beyond the reach of material senses. So it is not possible for us to understand his transcendental activities. It's very difficult. With material senses, no one can attain enlightenment about Krishna. The Lord, the master of the illusory energy, possesses the transcendental qualities for the good fortune of everyone, and his devotees are also qualified in that way. So when we say that Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam for Krishna, it also applies to his pure devotees. The pure devotees of the Lord are so powerful that Maya cannot touch them. They're very, very powerful. The Maya stays away from such people. And their business is the same business what Krishna's business is. When Krishna comes to the material world, he has a business. What business he has? What mission he has? His mission is to attract the conditioned souls towards him. That's why he performs his sweet, loving pastimes and he attracts everybody. Similarly, when Krishna disappears, he sends his eternal associates on the planet. And his eternal associates, they are of the same mission. What do they do? They glorify Lord's activities, Lord's forms, Lord's pastimes, which are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. They broadcast the glories of the Lord, because of which the conditioned souls, hearing the Lord's glories, hearing the Lord's pastimes, hearing the Lord's activities, they become attracted to the Lord. They fell in love with him and they attain perfection. So the Lord and his pure devotees are on the same mission to help the conditioned souls. So with material senses, no one can attain enlightenment upon him. The Lord, therefore, we have to take shelter of his pure devotees who will help us understand, who will train us how to become a pure devotee. The Lord, the master of the illusory energy, possesses transcendental qualities. So it is very difficult for us, conditioned souls, to understand about him. But if we are guided properly, if we hear Krishna Katha from a bona fide person, then he will help us to understand the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord. The devotees concerned only with rescuing the fallen souls from the material world, apparently they take birth in different places in the material world. It is not that a sadhu is not there. Sadhus are always on the planet. Many times we feel that there is no sadhus around. Only there are sadhus were there in the previous. Now there are no pure devotees around. No, this is a misconception. This is a misconception. Yamaraji, when he is giving this understanding to the Yamadutas, is very clearly telling that pure devotees of the Lord are always on the planet. They're always on the planet. If one is somewhat interested in spiritual life, then the devotees of the Lord will protect them. Now, the Supreme Lord resides in our heart. And Vishwanath Chandra Thakur gives a very clear example that the Lord resides in everybody's heart, but he is useless. Yes, Vishwanath Chandra Thakur calls him useless. Why? Because he doesn't stop sinful activities. When somebody wants to kill somebody, somebody wants to cheat somebody, he sanctions their activities. Because the karma is such that created that somebody might have cheated him previously, so it's time for him to cheat. So the activities are just sanctioned. But the Supreme Lord does not interfere, as Paramatma does not interfere in their activities. Just sanctions them. But when does the Lord start interfering? When does the Lord in the heart actually becomes active? Vishwanath Thakur says that when a person within his heart wants to aspire, wants to inquire or aspire to understand about the Supreme Lord, about this material world, about the spiritual world, when he expresses his desire, just at that time, the Lord within his heart arranges for service. He sends devotees in the life of that person. This is how it works. So Lord is always watching each and every activity of ours. What are our desires? What are not our desires? Lord is watching everything. If we are sincere, the Lord knows, and if we are sincere and honest, the Lord will help us. So one should not think that there are no sadhus. Sadhus are always on the planet. When Dhruv Maharaj was on his way to the forest, Narad Muni came in the heart of Dhruv Maharaj. He understood that Dhruv Maharaj was sincerely aspiring to attain perfection. And that's why immediately Narad Muni came there. So if you see in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the same situation. That if there is sincere aspiration, sincere inquiry is there in the heart of the soul, then Krishna makes arrangement. And this will happen in in so many cases in Srimad Bhagavatam. Yamaraj further said that the essence of the Sanatana Dharma or the eternal religion is extremely confidential. Yamaraj is saying that whatever I am explaining you, these principles of Bhagavad Dharma are extremely confidential. No one but the Lord himself can understand this. And he or his confidential representatives can deliver this to the human society. It is by the mercy of the Lord that the transcendental system of religion can be understood. And while explaining this, so Yamadutas might have explained and might have questioned him that in this whole universe, who are the authorities? Who knows this transcendental religious principles? Are you the only one? Or who else? At that time, Yamarajji is saying, Swayambhur Narada Shambhu, Kumara Kapilo Manu, Praladho Janako Vishnu, Balirvaya Sakivaya. So he's saying, Yamaraj is saying, Lord Brahma, Narada Muni, Lord Shiva, the Kumaras, Kapila, Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Shukdev Goswami, and he's humbly saying, yes, I also know this. This transcendental religious principle, this Bhagavad Dharma. But he's making a point. He's saying that other learned scholars, like Jaimini Rishi and others in different planets, are almost always covered by the illusory energy of the Lord, and therefore they are rishis, they are sages, but they are more or less attracted by the flowery language of the three Vedas, like Yajur, Rig, and Sama. So instead of becoming pure devotees, people get captivated by the flowery words of these three Vedas, and they become interested only in Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. They cannot understand the glories of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Then one might question, who can understand? Intelligent persons. Intelligent persons, they take to the essence of the Vedas, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, and the instruction which is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Intelligent people, they take to the devotional service of the Lord. When they chant the holy name of the Lord without offenses, they are no longer subject to, Yamaraj is saying, my rulings. But then Yamadutta said that if we see that some people are also chanting and they're also doing some sinful activities, what about them? So Yamaraj said, if by chance they commit some sinful act, they are still protected by the holy name of the Lord, because that is where their interest lies. And the four weapons of the Lord, especially the club and the Sudarshan Chakra, are always there to protect the devotees of the Lord. So one who chants, one who remembers, one who offers obeisance to the Lord becomes perfect, Whereas when even a learned person maybe learned person, learned scholar may go to the hell. But if a simple person by taking the shelter of the glories of the holy name of the Lord can become delivered from the cycle of birth and death. So all these things are mentioned are in Srimad Bhagavatam, and we need to understand that the pastimes of Ajamil, and there are so many different incidences which are kept in Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and different places. So we need to understand what is the purpose of this, what is the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam to appear in this world. The purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam is the same as the purpose of the Supreme Lord, because Srimad Bhagavatam and the Supreme Lord are non-different. They're non-different. In this age of Kali, bhakti is the only way by which one can attain perfection. But how is this bhakti achieved? That is the question. How can one be a pure devotee? So one can only become a pure devotee if one takes shelter of a pure devotee. If you come in contact with a Bhagavata, with a person of Bhagavata, will become a Bhagavata. So becoming a pure unworldly devotee of the Lord, we have to come in the association of people whose life is Bhagavata. We have to come in their Sangha, in their association, and do what? Do what? That is very important thing. Do what? Hear Krishna Katha from sadhus. So we have to not only just come in their association, but we should also hear Krishna Katha from them. Usually what happens that we get chance to associate with great sadhus. We get good fortune to associate with great sadhus. But what happens? What kind of inquiry? What do we inquire from them? We inquire from them about this material world, about this so-called material world. Our questions are also like that, from this so-called material world, and that's why we are not able to take the benefit of sadhu sangha. When we come in the association of sadhus, one should inquire from them about Krishna. This should be the inquiry about Krishna Katha. So we should understand that bhakti is only achieved when we come in the holy association of a pure devotee of the Lord. And that too, especially when we come in the association, we have to spend time in hearing Krishna Katha from such a devotee. And what is the best source of Krishna Katha? The best source of Krishna Katha is Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because it presents questions and answers related to Lord Krishna, his form, his pastimes, his energies, and various incarnations. And who has compiled this Srimad Bhagavatam? It is compiled by by the incarnation of the Lord. Vedavyas himself has compiled this. Srimad Bhagavatam is a very potent literature. Very potent literature. It is each and every verse in this literature is non-different from Krishna. It's very potent, and it can captivate the hearts of Asmara Munis. A personality like Shukadeva Goswami, a self-realized soul who was actually absorbed in Brahman, he was actually experiencing transcendental happiness, was attracted to Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is that story? What happened? Once once Vedavyas, he wrote the Vedas, he wrote the four Vedas, and he gave that to others. And he distributed it. Then he compiled Mahabharata and other literatures also, and he gave that to his disciples. But when he compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, he could not find a suitable person who could take up the service of studying and preaching the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why Vedavyas Ji was sincerely praying to the Supreme Lord. Sincerely praying to the Supreme Lord to send someone. And that's why Srila Shukadeva Goswami was born. He took his birth. And when Shukadeva Goswami took birth, he refused to come out from the womb of his mother. He was very happy. He was saying that I was very happy. He was saying to his father, I'm very happy inside the womb of his mother. I don't wish to come out. So Vedavyas said, I have prayed for you that you will do something. You will do something very good for the people in general, broadcast the glories of the Lord. But what are you doing? You're hiding inside your mother's womb. So Vedavyas went to Dwarka, brought Krishna, and Krishna assured him that you can come out, and my Maya will not touch you. So Shukadeva Goswami came out and he ran straight to forest. He went straight to the forest with no desire for coming back. And Vedavyas was running behind him, oh Shukadeva, please come back. But there was no answer. But when Vedavyas, when he understood Shukadeva Goswami was enjoying transcendental Brahman, at that time, Vedavyas called two of his disciples and gave them two verses to be recited in the forest. And Vedavyas taught them aho bakiyam stanakala kutam, that is one verse, and varaha pidam natvarobu karnekaram. These two verses he taught them and told his disciples, go and sing in the forest. Now, a person who is experiencing transcendental Brahman, he was experiencing transcendental happiness when he heard Lord's glories and Lord's activities. He got attracted to him, and then Shukadeva Goswami came back and heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam from the Supreme Lord's incarnation. Now, this is the glories of the Lord. This is the glories of the Lord's activities, holy name, and forms. They're so powerful. That even Atmaram Muni, like Shukadeva Goswami, was understood that this Bhagavad Katha is more glorious, more nectarian, and will give more happiness than what Shukadeva Goswami was enjoying in transcendental Brahman. So Shukadeva Goswami came and sat under the lotus feet of his father and heard the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. And then, although Shukadeva Goswami renounced everything, but he could not give up Srimad Bhagavatam. So imagine if a person who is experiencing transcendental Brahman can get attracted. So what has to be said about this conditioned soul? See the situation of Ajamil, which was the subject matter for today. That Ajamil, see the situation of Ajamil, that Ajamil, although he committed sinful activities throughout his life, but when he heard this transcendental glories of the Lord from the Vishnudutas, he became so convinced that he completely gave up that sinful activities which was doing. And he decided to go to Haridwar and take shelter of the sadhus and part of his life. So, the point to be made is that the Lord's names, Lord's fames, Lord's pastimes are so powerful that it can not only attract a liberated soul or a conditioned soul, it can attract anybody. Simply, we have to go and hear those glories of the Bhagavatam. So Shukadeva Goswami, although he renounced everything, including a copy, he could not give up Srimad Bhagavatam. He was very fond of forest life, Aranya Priya. But after learning Srimad Bhagavatam from his father, and then after explaining it to the devotees, he became Vishnu Janapriya. So he was so renowned that he did not distinguish between the male and female, but still Shukdev Goswami was able to narrate the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are very dear to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam is a very life and soul of the Vaishnava, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnava. If you see the life of Ajamil, it gives us so clear indication about the glories of the holy name. It gives us so much faith. It gives us so much hope that we as devotees staying in the city life, if we take to the whole chanting of the holy name of the Lord, we will get perfection. It gives us so much hope. This Ajamil story gives us so much hope that if a sinful person like Ajamil can get delivered, then what has to be said of those devotees who are chanting the holy name of the Lord and rendering constant devotional service to the Lord 24 hours? So there should be no doubt left in the hearts of the devotees about their deliverance. So that's why all these great pastimes are being kept in Srimad Bhagavatam, so that people in general, the devotees of the Lord, they can get hope from it. Srimad Bhagavatam is the life and soul of the Vaishnavas, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called it spotless Puran. We should, he himself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself would hear it from his dear associate Sri Gadadhar Pandit at Narendra Sarovar in Jagannath Puri. So we should also make an humble attempt to make Srimad Bhagavatam as a part of our daily life. It's very important. We cannot, just like the food is essential for our body. This body is nourished. How it is nourished? This body is nourished because of the food we take. Similarly, the food for soul is Srimad Bhagavatam. The food for soul is Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is very important that we devotees, especially, they take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made an attempt to hear this. He himself used to hear it every day. So by that, he's giving us an indication that just like I'm doing, you should also do this. You should also hear Srimad Bhagavatam on everyday basis. Read Srimad Bhagavatam on everyday basis. It cannot be ignored. It cannot be ignored. It nourishes a person. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam for an hour or so every day, see the difference in your chanting. See the difference in your meditation. Everything changes. And if Srimad Bhagavatam is not there, and then you see the difference in your life, it's completely dry. Because Srimad Bhagavatam nourishes the soul. It gives a devotee nourishment. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sri Rupa Goswami lists hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as one of the 5 essential processes of devotional service. Then further, Srila Prabhupada, he carried this Srimad Bhagavatam with him when he went to the West, when he went to the United States. And with this weapon of Srimad Bhagavatam, he conquered the whole world. What did Srila Prabhupada do? When Srila Prabhupada went to the West, he had Srimad Bhagavatam with him. And what did he do? He simply glorified Krishna's name, Krishna's activities, Krishna's pastimes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And what happened? The result is that so many people staying there, they heard about Krishna's glories, Krishna's pastimes, and they became devotees. They became devotees of the Lord. So such was the situation with Ajamil also. When Ajamil heard from Vishnu Dutas about the glories of devotional service, about the Bhagavad Dharma principle, when he heard, what happened? When he heard about it, he became completely convinced and completely purified. He became a pure devotee. So Srila Prabhupada, he went to the West, he glorified Srimad Bhagavatam, he broadcasted its glories, and everybody became devotees. So, what is the conclusion? Is that Lord's glories, the Lord's name, the Lord's fame, the Lord's fastness are so powerful that if it is broadcasted, it is simply broadcasting. It simply broadcasts this Lord's glories, Lord's name, Lord's fame, Lord's pastimes. It is so powerful that it can destroy the material life of people, and they will become devotees of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada, he referred to his Bhaktivedanta purport from Srimad Bhagavatam as his emotional ecstasy. And Srila Prabhupada has established, he made it mandatory for his followers to hear Srimad Bhagavatam daily. That's why he has, in every ISKCON temple, we have this hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Wherever he went, he spoke on Srimad Bhagavatam. And not only that, he also relished hearing from his disciples. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that if all the books in the world are destroyed and only Srimad Bhagavatam remains, there is no loss. And we need to understand this, that this is not an old statement. If we take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam on everyday basis, you will understand this subject, that if all the books in the world are destroyed, only Srimad Bhagavatam remains, there is no loss. It's actually a commitment, provided we take shelter of the Lord in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a natural fruit of the Vedic tree, and therefore it has capacity to grant us all our desires will be fulfilled. The process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the simple process of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam will help us to attain perfection in our life. So, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity given to me for discussing the life of Ajamin. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.